Let's talk about this so-called Nintendo Switch 2 game mid-reviews problem or 70s problem, or this isn't worth $70 because the game reviews on Metacritic isn't high enough problem. I've seen people talk about this with the release of Mario Tennis Fever, how it's not worth the money based off of the review scores or based off of the 4-hour adventure mode or based off of this and based off of that. And honestly, that type of talk is just getting exhausting. Worth or value is subjective. Something can be $3, and if I buy it, I feel that it's not worth it, then it's not worth it. Or it can be $10 or $20 or $40 or $50. So it doesn't really matter when it comes to that. But what I do want to get into is this trend of what we're seeing with Nintendo review scores, at least Metacritic wise, and it just constantly being high 70s every single time. It seems like it's going to be predetermined that'll be like a 77 or a 78 or maybe a 79 or something, and go over that. Now, there's been people also debating and analyzing this, saying that Nintendo's value, or more like Nintendo's game quality, is a problem, that it's went downhill and there's all these issues. And while I can understand people have their opinions, we can discuss that fully when it comes to people's opinions or not based off of that. As somebody who's pretty much played every single game, first party wise at least, that Nintendo has released, I think that there's definitely more to it because of the type of games that they released, what they tried to do with those type of games. So we're going to discuss it at depth and at length, and we're going to talk about the future and what games could break this 70s trend and break into the 80s and potentially even the 90s, because believe it or not, it might be coming more sooner than later with the game that probably all of us wrote off, at least not all of us, but maybe a lot of us wrote off, and that was Pokemon Pokopia. So we'll discuss that and more, but before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. And let me know if you think that there is a reviews or quality issue with Nintendo Switch 2 first-party games. Now, let's just start out at the beginning. Obviously, we had Mario Kart World, which is reviewed pretty well, 86. Then you have Donkey Kong Bonanza, really good, AAA type review score and all that, 91. That was awesome. People loved it. People were saying the Switch 2 is worth it. Look at this game. They're going to have so many more games coming out. And the consistent releases were starting to really pick up steam. You got some good third-party stuff that happened in September with Trails in the Sky and with Hades 2 and it's into Silk Song. Those all reviewed really well. So you had a bunch of nice games, first-party and third-party, throughout September. But then we get to October. And in October, there was some issues when it comes to it. And even a little bit before that, obviously, Welcome Tour, that should have just been packaged in. That's a 54. Dragon Drive, that also should have just been maybe like an NSO game or something. But whatever, that's a 60 on that one. But we start getting to the big major games. And we get the Pokemon Legends ZA, 78, not bad. I think that the game is fun, but it's right around there. And people say, okay, well, the graphics, this and that. So it is what it is on that one. And then we get something like Kirby Air Riders. And this one's interesting and why I don't fully buy into the Nintendo game quality problem. Kirby Air Riders is a 79. And some people are saying that's maybe not good enough. It was an 80 at one point, then it went a little bit down. But the GameCube release is a 61 on Metacritic. So you have a huge 18-point jump over the previous game in the franchise. That's why I said it's a little bit complicated when you're talking about if there's a quality issue or not. I think that with certain games, like Kirby Air Riders, for example, there is absolutely zero quality issue. This game is significantly better than what we got before in the same franchise, and it's complete. It's fully packed in with content, single player mode, you've got multiplayer modes, you got local, you got online, you got achievements, you've got no microtransactions, you got no pricey DLC expansions, you've got beautiful graphics, it runs good, everything's fine with this game. It's actually really good. If you get into it, it's a lot of fun, especially with friends, and the online is flawless. It's got great rollback netcode, so this game is really good. Now, is it good enough to get some type of score like Donkey Kong Bonanza? Probably not with the gaming press, because the gaming press is the gaming press. But I don't think that it signifies that Sakurai has like making a video game quality issue. There's no way. So that's why I don't fully subscribe to it. Now, I get it with some of the stuff, but I don't subscribe to it when we have stuff like Kirby Air Riders, which is a phenomenal game. I just don't have the time to play the multiplayer as much as I would like, but every time that I play it with the community, or every time that I got a chance to play it single player, it was frantic, and it was a blast. Definitely more than a 79. I think it's an 80 plus game in my opinion. Haven't really had a chance to play everything, so I can't get a full review, but from everything that I've played, the number of hours that I've put in, this is a super high quality game in my opinion, and put well together. You might not like everything about it, but it's definitely a well put together game, and much better than the original game on the GameCube with all of the added content. This is what you'd want a sequel to do. This is what you'd want them to add in after all of these years and everything, because they boosted this game up to the max. I can understand with a game like Metroid Prime 4, right? Metroid Prime 4, this game, the reviews back in the day, they were a lot better than this. This is one of the lower rated games. This is actually lower rated at the 78 than Metroid Other M, and this game's better than Metroid Other M. I think it's a lot better. I gave my own review for the game, and you can go see what I scored it and everything, but I think this game's a lot better than that game. So reviews, standards, and things have definitely changed, because once again, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is much better than Metroid Other M, yet Metroid Other M sits at a better review score than it. Now, once again, that was like a decade and a half ago when they reviewed it, so times have changed, things have changed, different people. It's a completely different scene now at this point, and expectations of what you were expecting with a Metroid Prime might have been let down, so maybe that caused more of it, or just some of the gameplay design, obviously the green crystal stuff and all that, so I get that. That definitely seemed like there was some issues. The game was in development for a long time, so whether there's an excuse for it or not, it is what exactly happened. It's still a 78, so I get that. But of course with Kirby Air Riders, do not get that at all. Then probably like the biggest thing for me with this is Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. This game makes no sense, and once again, why I don't believe or buy in fully to this game quality issue. This game is significantly higher quality than the game that came before it. You have Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity in 2020. I love this game, but the frame rate was so bad, like, I can understand the scores that it got. When it was getting 7s and sometimes 8s and 6s and other scores, I was like, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. This frame rate is bad. It is definitely an issue, but the game can be very fun when the frame rate isn't so choppy and bad, because it runs at 30 FPS with dips. And if you're playing in multiplayer, it's almost unplayable because it might get into the single digit teens frame rate or low teens frame rate. And there's times if it's raining or there's a lot of enemies, it can get real choppy into the low 20s, potentially mid 20s. It's not great. When you have those huge levels with things happening, it also chugs and slows down, and that affects the enjoyment. But the game, with its story, with its different characters, with its cool gameplay mechanics, still is able to shine through and get a 78 on the Metacritic. Then you fast forward to 5 years later to Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which dramatically improves upon the major issue with the game, which is the frame rate. That is the reason why the game got much lower scores than maybe what it should have had, was the frame rate. This game has an incredible story, just as good, if not better, than Age of Calamity, and it's actually canon. It's not like a separate side story that's kind of canon based on a thing that happened, but maybe not the exact really thing that happened. It's actually a canon story, and it's got a bunch of fun characters to use as well. It's a great game, and it improves upon everything that the original Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity does, and it does it even bigger and better, all in a target 60 FPS, hitting that 60 FPS a lot of the time, or most of the time. It feels smooth to play. It's got a ton of content. It's got a lot of stuff wrapped in there. It is a really good game, and it's got a bunch of new mechanics and different things that you can do, fusion combos and stuff that make the gameplay far more varied to me if you're into the Warriors games. And I play them on hard, so you have to actually use all the different tools and everything. If you play the game on normal or easy, it just feels like you're just mashing buttons the whole time. But if you're playing the game on hard, you actually have to do so many other things and dodge and be skillful and do all sorts of stuff. So it's so much better, for me at least. So I saw all the differences between Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. And the biggest thing, which is the most important thing, which every single reviewer mentioned was a big issue with the game, the frame rate. Hyrule Warriors fixes all that, and it's got 1 point better. 1 point better. That's insane. That is absolutely ridiculous. And that's why, once again, I don't really be all end all with reviews anyway. You guys know that. I play the games for myself, where I watch different people play them and I see what I see and I judge it from that. I don't judge it all based on reviews, because whatever. But that's what I'm really kind of talking about. When you do everything significantly better and then people say, oh, there's a quality issue. No, there is not. Look at that, guys. 78, 79, despite having significantly better resolution, performance, gameplay aspects, and so many different things with the game, it only got them 1 point better. That should have been off the top 3 to 4 points better than Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, simply based off of the frame rate alone. That should have already got it like 3 or 4 points better, because that was a major issue in the previous game. And Age of Calamity is awesome, but it's not to the point to where it's just as good despite the frame rate. No, Age of Imprisonment is a lot better because it plays way better and smoother, to where you can pull off your combos and pull off what you can do and everything. So I don't fully subscribe to it. I understand what people are saying. I get the logistics of what they're saying with, hey, there's some 70s and there's some issues here and there. There's been some games that haven't been so good, but I think that some of the games are much better when you play them yourself than what some of the Metacritic scores will say. It was really interesting to see, because from IGN to Switch Up to Skill Up to Eurogamer to Game Informer, they all had incredibly high praise for this game in their hands-on gameplay previews. Could Pokemon Pokopia change the 70s curse that the Nintendo Switch 2 with first-party games, first-party published titles is having right now? I think it's possible. Then Switch Up. Here's our take on a massive play session with Pokemon Pokopia on the Nintendo Switch 2. Not the game we were expecting, but a pleasant surprise. And they also stated that the game reminds them of Viva Pinata, which was a cult hit from the Xbox 360. And I think there was even a Nintendo DS game as well. So this could break the curse, and I hope that it does. It's coming out next month, early next month. So I think that it has a chance to break the 80s curse. So we'll see what happens there with this game. I'm now more interested in it because I like Viva Pinata. I thought that game was pretty cool, and I watched the previews, and I'm definitely a little bit more, I would say, positive about this game. So we'll see when it comes out. Now, are there other games that can break the 70s curse that will release this year on the Nintendo Switch 2 from Nintendo published first-party title, or at least publishing partner title? Yes, I think so. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, that has a chance. The Yoshi Crafted World and Woolly World, they're both at the dreaded 78, 79 curse as well, but I think this one could be a bit better on the Nintendo Switch 2. You have the Dust Bloods from Software. They have highly rated games, but their online focused stuff like Elden Ring Night Rain didn't quite do as well. That's also in the high 70s rated thing. So I'm not sure if it's going to be able to get the type of scores that Bloodborne or Elden Ring got, or Sekiro, but I do think that it can be somewhere in between Elden Ring Night Rain and, like, let's just say Dark Souls 3 or something like that. So that can be an 80s plus type of game. You also look at Splatoon Raiders. All of the Splatoon games outside of the expansion pack for, or more like the DLC for Splatoon 3, all of those have a low 80s rating, so Splatoon Raiders as a spin-off could definitely be that. But I think that the game that has the best chance to break past that and get near some of the other games like Mario Kart World or Donkey Kong Bonanza is Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. You look at the past big mainline Fire Emblem games, not including Fire Emblem Engage, because that's more of an anniversary game, but if you look at Fire Emblem Awakening, Fire Emblem Fates, and Fire Emblem Three Houses, all of those games have high 80s to low 90s, with Fire Emblem Awakening having 90 plus, and Fire Emblem Three Houses right there at the cusp of a 90 with an 89 and a Player's Choice Award to go with it, and Best Strategy RPG or Strategy Game Awards and things. So that did really well. So I do think that Fire Emblem has been one of those high quality franchises that's reviewed well over the years, and I think that could be the game that truly kind of breaks past from what we know. There's going to be other stuff. We got Gen 10 Pokemon. We probably got a new 3D Mario. We probably got one more game here or there that we don't know about from Nintendo. Maybe a couple more games that we don't know about. But I do think that out of the ones that we do, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave has the biggest opportunity. And I think that if you look at Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, it's got a significant bump in visual fidelity and in performance. Those are the two things that were an issue when it comes to Fire Emblem Three Houses, and that game still reviewed pretty highly. So if they have a story that's just as good, if not even better, and less annoying aspects, maybe the calendar system is rehauled or not even in there at all, plus they have all of the typical awesome Fire Emblem leveling and strategic gameplay, along with great classes and level ups and everything like that, I think that Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave could be absolutely incredible and be that big game that reviews as high maybe as Donkey Kong Bonanza or something like that, because they've done it before and they've gotten close in the past. So I'm fully expecting Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave to be incredible. And you also have the link to Fire Emblem Three Houses. If you look at Fortune's Weave, it absolutely has so many ties to Three Houses. Obviously, So This is in there as well. So you know there is a major tie, whether it's a prequel or sequel or something to do with it. So I just think that that game has the best chance out of all of the upcoming new games coming for the Nintendo Switch 2. We have a couple Switch 2 editions, so we're not counting stuff like Animal Crossing and like the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Switch 2 editions. We're talking about the brand new big games. It's one of those things where you're just gonna have to play the games or research yourself and truly find out if it's a game for you or not. And that's what it's all about, finding what you feel is best for your gameplay taste and style. So what do you guys think about everything we talked about here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.